Alrighty, so thank you very much for joining us today, joining Jordan and Nick and lots of other people on this call today, talking about how to improve focus. So really appreciate your expertise as varsity athletes. So I will, without further ado, I'll let you take it away. So thanks again, guys, for presenting. Really appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, so to get started, we're just going to introduce ourselves. So I'm Nick Miller. I'm in my 5th year here at Ontario Tech. I'm studying criminology and justice. And as Ange explained, I'm on the soccer team. I'm not sure if Jordan wants to introduce himself as well, but...
Yeah, I'm Jordan, also on the soccer team, studying kinesiology, one of the defenders on the team.
Sounds good. So let's get started. So what we're going to be learning today is what is focus? What does it mean to be in the zone? What do we need to focus on? And then the 3 primary aspects in relation to the zone. And finally, what is momentum? So experts define focus as the act of concentrating your interests or activity on something specific. So right now I'm focusing my attention all on this presentation rather than what I am going to be eating for breakfast tomorrow. According to this definition, we must choose something positive, and then with these positive with these positive choices, we choose the right interests, the right activities, and the right thoughts. Zone is a temporary state of heightened focus that enables peak performance. The 3 primary aspects of the zone we need to focus on are getting in it more, staying in it longer, as well as when we leave it, recovering and returning to it faster. Momentum is a force that allows something to continue or to grow stronger or faster as time passes. So the next thing on the list is multitasking and concentration. Technically, we are able to do, we're capable of doing 2 things at the same time, and it's possible. For example, we can watch TV and cook dinner, but what is impossible, however, is concentrating on 2 tasks at once. You're either listening to the TV or the overflowing pot of pasta is making background noise. So you can only really truly focus on one thing at a time. You can do 2 things, but you can't focus on both of them at the same time. Multitasking forces your brain to switch your focus back and forth and focus very quickly from one task to another. This wouldn't be a big deal if the human brain couldn't transition seamlessly from one job to the next, but it can't. Multitasking forces you to pay attention, to pay a mental price each time you interrupt one task and jump to another task. In psychology terms, this mental price is called the switching cost. The switching cost is the disruption in performance that we experience when we switch our focus from one area to another. So next thing we're going to look at is effort, and it's broken down into different. It's broken down into different words that help us look at the word effort, and we have many different examples here that go with these words. So the E stands for enthusiasm. The first F stands for focus. The second F stands for finish. The O stands for opportunity. The R stands for resilience, and the T stands for together. As you can see, there's many different words here. So enthusiasm can be related to excited about the opportunity to get better and what to do, what they do to compete. Together can relate to bringing people together. Focus with laser focus. We can just see how these words relate to different things with effort. So the next thing we're looking at in the zone mindsets and actions. The first one is accepting responsibility and owning it. So right off the bat, we can see that these are positive things. We're not blaming people. We're accepting our mistakes. We're accepting that this is our role. This is what we have to do. The next one is practicing and choosing positive attitudes. Planning and preparation. Overlooking what does not matter. Embracing accountability. Being team focused. Listening to feedback. Being happy for others. And obsessing to be your best. So next we're looking at things that break the zone. And as you can tell, rather than things that get us in the zone that are positive, these are more negative terms. So focus on external conditions that you can't control. Blaming or making excuses. Choosing to be offended. Whining, gossiping, using can't do language. Infected with disease of me, so you're very egocentric. You're only thinking about yourself, not the team. You're not together, like with effort. Failing to hold oneself or others accountable. Obsessing with how others are doing. Having concerns over measuring up to others, and seeking to prove you're right. So now we have our first activity. Normally, when we do this in our classroom session in preseason, we take like 5-10 minutes, break it down. But for this webinar, we'll take about 5 minutes. Just think about some goals that you have. Obviously, the presentation is for our soccer season, so we have seasons written down. But let's say, what are some goals that you have for the rest of the year? So until New Year's, what goals do you have? We don't have to share them, but just write them down. They'll be for you. If you feel like sharing, you can put them in the comment box. So it'll take a couple minutes and think about some goals for yourself.
Thanks, Nick. And if you don't mind, while people are thinking about their goals and following your 3 steps, I was going to swing back to a couple of things that you said earlier that really resonated with me. And one of them is focusing on the positive. I think especially right now during COVID, whether you're trying to improve focus or not, I think that's a really key idea to highlight, which is there's so much negativity in the news right now. So it's amazing how much that influences your day. If you're watching what the COVID numbers are every day and you're watching the election in the States, you're upset about what's going on and your own personal stuff that's going on. So I think that's a really important point to really, especially hone in on right now during COVID, which is to focus on things that, or choose to focus your attention to things that are positive, which I think will help people a lot during this time. So I appreciated that. And I love the idea about switch tasking too. I do, when I was teaching, would do an activity with students where they had 2 tasks. One they did with no disruption. The second one they do kind of 2 things at the same time, and how much longer it takes to do 2 things at once. So we think we're multitasking by doing a number of things at the same time, but we're really just switching from one task to another. And as you mentioned, that costs us a lot of time, and we're not as focused for either task, so we're more likely to make errors at that time. And the last thing I was going to focus on or remind people is what you said about we're choosing to be offended, or we're choosing to feel certain ways versus those feelings. We can choose to accept them or not accept them, and the way we feel, we often it is up to us how we feel about certain situations. So I like that you kind of worded it that way about choosing some of our emotions, because they are in our control a lot of the time. So yeah, nice start so far.
Thank you. All this has to be credited to the best coach, Ramin. So
awesome. I'll see him in the bibliography then at the end, I'm sure.
Yes, you will. We don't have to share any of them, but does anyone have any goals that they would like to accomplish before the end of the year, or just in general goals they'd like to achieve?
Nick, for me, is as a coach, is to learn more. How can I be more? How can more contribute more to the team, to athletes, even I'm not on the field? because with all this basically shutdown and COVID situation, I want to learn more to be involved and be able to help the athletes, right? So that's my goal. So I'm learning all different methods, all different strategies, right, to bring more to the athletes. That's my goal.
Absolutely, that's great. I kind of have the same goals right now, as I don't know what my future is with the team or whether I'm coming back, what my future is. So I'm trying to learn different roles as well, how I can help the team best for next season. So thanks, Ramin, for sharing. And anyone else? If not, we'll move forward.
A couple that are in the chat, Nick,
Oh,
say
sorry.
they want to more physical activity in their daily routine, and then Austin agreed with that, and wanting to get stronger was another comment in the chat as well.
Oh, those are good ones. I definitely feeling the same. So if that's it, we'll move forward.
Alrighty. So you want to measure your progression. So focus often fades on the lack of feedback. Your brain has a natural desire to know whether or not you're making progress towards your goals, and it's impossible to know that without getting the feedback. So an example of this is during our off season when COVID started. A lot of us were working out, just finding a field to kind of work on, stuff like that. But we didn't have games, we didn't have practices, we didn't have our fitness testing, we didn't have anything like that to kind of gauge where we were, if we were getting better, if we were getting worse, if there's any difference at all. So it can lead to your focus being diminished based on that. You don't have that drive to really keep up with it because you're not seeing improvements, stuff like that. Also, we all have areas in our life that we say are important to us, but we aren't measuring. And that's a shame, because measurement maintains focus and concentration. The things we measure are the things that we improve. It's only through numbers and clear tracking that we have any idea on if we're getting better or worse. So it's pretty much what I was saying before with the example. We didn't have many measurements. We didn't have stuff to go off of to base to see if we were actually progressing anything. So your focus kind of, like I said before, gets diminished from that. Next slide here. The trick is to realize that measuring is not judgment about who you are. It's just feedback on where you are. So you can't look at it just, measure, like say the yo-yo test, for instance, or a speed test or something like that. So usually we do our yo-yo tests at the start of preseason, during the middle of the season, at the end of the season. And the whole point of that is to see your progress throughout the year. It's to see how much fitter as a team we got, if you made any improvements, if you didn't. It also helps, coaching staff and stuff like that kind of see what we have to improve on, if their strategies are working, if our strategies are working, kind of stuff like that.
Jordan, for those of us that don't know, do you mind explaining what the yo-yo test is?
Oh, the yo-yo test is like a cardiovascular test. It just pretty much shows your endurance, how long you can run. It's kind of like a modified beep test. It starts like way higher than the beep test does, so it's like a quicker test. But so it's like a point system. So like you would run, I think it's like 20 yards or 20 meters and back, and that would be like 0.1, and then you just kind of go up the levels to see like where your level is, and like pretty much whoever has the highest score has the most endurance fitness.
Right.
So
Right. Okay,
it's
that's
kind of
great.
like a test to see how fit people are.
Thank you.
So Austin said, what's a good score on the yo-yo test? So generally for our team, we say, I think it's 19 or 19.5 and above is, minimum kind of thing. So anything kind of there or above is a good score to have. So next, focus on the process and not the event. Focusing on the outcome causes more stress and most likely choking. So you don't want to direct your energy to completing the part you can't control. So for instance, with receiving a ball, you don't want to be thinking about what the outcome could be like, or if the ball would bounce over your foot, or you take a bad touch and the ball bounces away, or a defender takes it away, kind of thing. You want to just kind of focus on the things you can control, like opening your body, controlling the ball, soft touch, kind of things like that. So you don't want to focus on the outcomes For the next slide, how to improve concentration. So you want to choose an anchor task. The anchor task, this is one thing you want to get done. You're not multitasking. You're not focused on completing the one task and dealing with the process toward that task before taking a new task. So you pretty much just want to have one task you're pretty much just focusing on the entire time. You're not trying to have 3 different tasks where you're multitasking, because then that takes away from each task. You're not focused directly on one task, and you'll usually have like a detrimental effect on each task. It won't make the progress as great as you'd like. You manage your focus, not your time. You're not supposed to worry about how long it takes. You just want to worry about the focus, or you just want to focus on the task at hand. And then also you want to remove all tasks that could distract you. So say it's schoolwork, just removing the electronics, your phone, not your computer, but your phone, your, TV in your background, turn it off kind of thing. Those are all things you want to remove so that you can concentrate and focus on the task that you're doing if it's schoolwork. So next slide. You want to focus and decision, not condition. So most people don't have trouble with focusing. They just have trouble with deciding. They don't know what thing to decide on, what task that they want to decide on at that point. So an example here, should I focus on what my coach says, or should I have a chat with my friends? This kind of happens a lot with any team-based sport. You're in somewhat of a team huddle and you're standing next to your buddy and you just start cracking jokes or something like that. And you're not actually focusing on the main task, which is what your coach is saying, what he wants you to do, all those things. And then you want to have urgency. Have you ever had a task that you absolutely had to get done? What happened? Generally, you got it done because the deadline made the decision for you. So you just want to have a bit of urgency with that. Next, we have another activity. I don't think we're going to get everyone to do this activity. I can just kind of base it on myself. So you want to think about your position on the field. So for me, it'd be center back. What do you need to focus on? Making tackles, organizing the team, making good passes, etc. Why is it that sometimes you successfully win the ball and other times you let the attacker pass you easily? This could be because because during the play I'm paying attention to what the attackers are doing. So say the ball's up the field, the attackers have it. I'm kind of just watching what they're doing, and I'm not. And then once the play switches, I'm not actually focusing on my defensive role. So I lost that sense of focus towards my own task. And so that's why that kind of could happen. Why is it that we miss the opportunity to score in a 1v1 situation? Generally, I'm not in this situation, but maybe it's because you're worried too much about the bad or good outcomes and not focused on the task that involves with beating an attacker. So I don't know, like good footwork, always moving, not being stagnant, good shot, stuff like that. You're kind of just focusing on, I don't want to mess up, or I just want to score, kind of thing, that kind of aspect of it. Next. To display an effective performance, you need commitment, confidence, composure, and character. For commitment, it gives you the drive you want to have an effective performance. For confidence, you need confidence because without it, you start to second guess yourself, your abilities, which can lead to errors in your performance. Composure is necessary because it's the ability to stay calm under stressful situations and to perform the task effectively. And then for character, the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. So next. So this is just a little quote here. Stop managing your time and start managing your focus. So once again, I've said this before, you want to focus on the tasks that you have. You don't want to be focusing on how long it's going to take or anything like that. Next slide. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. So generally, no one's going to be perfect, but if you push yourself and focus enough on a task or any goal that you want to set, you'll most likely find yourself doing things that you didn't necessarily think that you were able to achieve. After that this is just a picture with, if you keep moving forward, success is right ahead. But if you want to just stop now, excuses is the next exit. And then we have a motivational video. Here we go. Miller, you're gonna have to click that one, I believe.
Are you guys seeing the Chrome now, or is it still on the presentation?
It's just gonna load up. We'll switch, I think.
You're seeing the presentation still, Nick, just so you know. This can be a tricky thing to do, I think, sometimes on here is showing a video.
Yeah, maybe just put the link in the chat. You can do that.
Yeah,
Would you be able to do that, Jordan? Because I'm on the. Okay.
I got it. 1 second.
Yeah, my screen's just on the presentation. I can't really do much. Or
You could probably exit out of it and then click on it, and it'll probably take us to it. I sent it in the chat there.
Okay. It's a very motivational video. It gives you goosebumps when you watch it.
Is it loading? Do we know?
If it's not, we can move on, and we've got it in the chat so people can copy it.
Yeah.
And I just copied it, and I've got it, and I'll watch it. I'll watch it after if you want.
Well, that's pretty much it for the presentation. That was kind of just to kind of top it off.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks for listening.
Then, of course.
Thanks, guys. That was great.
Yes.
I just want to basically add to it that all the content and information that you guys mentioned is transferable to any other situation we are. As a staff, many times in a meeting, I'm sitting there, I feel that I'm there, but I'm also thinking about something else that I have to do with my practice, with my home, whatever it is. So we all think that we can do multitasking, but I don't think we can concentrate in one. So you guys mentioned it, so that was great. That was my takeoff. That was good.
Thank you. So yeah.
In your part of the presentation, Jordan, I found it interesting too when you said there are things that we say are important to us, but we're not measuring them. Yeah, and I find that really interesting because I think during this time of the pandemic, I think one of the things that's really been highlighted for me is the importance of my family in my life. So I was just thinking, as you said that, how am I measuring, or am I measuring those relationships? What does that look like? I was trying to figure out a way to transfer what you had said to kind of what my experience has been during the pandemic. So I'm gonna have to sit on that for a little bit and figure out how am I gonna measure that, or do I even need to? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you can almost see it, like you can measure it in a way of like how often I guess you stay in contact with your family. I know before the pandemic, there's certain family members that I wasn't talking to, not talking to, but it didn't seem like an importance to be in contact with them. But now, I'll call them once a week or something like that. That's kind of, it's not necessarily, writing in your diary or in a journal saying like, oh, I got to call or I got to stay in contact with my family, but it could just be, every week or every 2 weeks, I want to call so-and-so and talk to them, see how they're doing kind of thing. That's kind of like a measurable way to see it.
So I'm doing really well then because I've been calling my parents almost every single day. So good. I feel better now, Jordan. Thank you.
Hey, Nick, you touched on momentum a bit. And
Yes.
like during a game, when let's say you guys have a lead and the other team starts picking things up and is going against you, and I guess everybody would say, oh, momentum's gone to Nipissing's side. Do you believe in that in a game of momentum, or like if you guys just start playing better and get out of a defensive shell, maybe momentum would stop swinging? So what do you deal with momentum, I guess is my
So one of the things that, like being a goalie, and Ramin says it a lot for the team, but it's something that like I've always learned from a young age. It's time management. So it relates to focus a lot. So say the other team's putting a lot of pressure on you, you're winning, you start managing the game. So I get the ball, I kind of slow it down, or just say we have the momentum. So maybe I'll start putting more. I'll go quicker. But just say the other team, Nipissing, is putting a lot of pressure on us. They have the momentum. Just slow it down, slow the game down, get rid of the momentum from them. So the big thing is just time management for that, for momentum.
I got a question for you guys, if you don't mind. Being as you guys like are veterans, like how do like for a say like a playoff game, how do you put all that hype and stuff of like the crowd and things to the side and stay focused on like your individual jobs and stuff?
Honestly, you should probably have the answer because you're the same age as us. But for you, Tig, generally you just kind of you have to just focus on your tasks, visualization kind of things. What slide was it where it has 4 words: commitment, confidence, composure, character. So that's probably where the composure aspect comes into play. Knowing that you've been there before, knowing what your abilities are, having that confidence to perform those abilities. It's just pretty much those 4
Thanks.
4 points there.
Thanks, T.
Also, I want to add to that. It doesn't matter how good you're at a task, how good you're at something. Even you do that for 100 times, the next time you still have to be focused, concentrate on that task to be successful for the 101 time. Otherwise, it won't happen. So,
Absolutely.
Wise words from a wise coach I just heard there.
Best in the business.
There you go. I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat right now, so we'll maybe open it up if people have any more questions. If you want to ask a question of Ty now that he asked a question of you, that would be fair game, I think. So if there is nothing else, we will say thank you very much, Nic and Jordan. Really appreciate, I know, Jordan, you've done this twice, and Nic, I know you've got some other things going on as well. So really appreciate the time that it takes. And I know we've got 18 people on our call right now, but we know that the webinars are viewed later on through the campusrecreationcenter.com website. So really appreciate the time that you've put towards putting the presentation together and then presenting it as well. So thank you very much for helping us, inspiring us. I know I'm going to have a few things that are takeaways for me. So yeah, I really appreciate it.
Sweet. Thanks for having us, guys.
No, thank you very much. In the chat, we're saying amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks again.